I'll be able to shuffle fresh off of a stream, and while I was streaming, this update dropped for DD2, or at least this announcement of an update, and we just got the collector update, so it's pretty crazy that we're getting another one. So after 1.0 happened, Red Hook took a much-deserved break, because it was really pedal to the metal to, you know, make sure everything was ready to go at 1.0. Took a break, and then came back, collectors out, Kyrogen's out, and champion enemies, and now we're getting another update. This is almost faster than they were pushing updates in early access, which is honestly just crazy to think about. And so, real quick, the current patch with Collector and Kyrogen, I think it's a fantastic patch. Just gives you a little more run variety, and it's really fun. And I will keep saying in every single video, I forgot to do this at the start, we need hero balance, hero balance, hero balance. Otherwise, the patch is fantastic. Collector's really fun, the rewards are great, Kyrogen's fun, the rewards are great. The new champs are cool. Kinda wish Admiral had DBR, but otherwise, I mean, just good, solid content patch. I have no complaint. Now, the new stuff. New quality of life, QOL changes, coming next month. We hope you've been enjoying Collector, new Infernal. Oh, that's right, the Infernal Flames, they're way better now too. From the last patch. I can't believe it. They're actually fun. Before they weren't that fun. Now they're actually fun. You know, except maybe Doom Candle, because Loathing is just kind of already a nightmare. But the other four, good stuff. Okay. Our update, our August update is just the first of many that we have already planned. Now it's in your hands. We want to take this opportunity to discuss some of the changes in our next release. Currently set for September, this update is aimed at addressing a few key points of feedback we have pulled from the DD community. You're specifically looking to improve player agency and add more variety of replayability. This is good because replayability is one of the biggest things this game needs right now. Expeditions, while also reducing some areas of RNG. Depending on what is reduced, this could be good, but I'm always a little bit wary of the RNG changes because, I mean, the game has to have some randomness, otherwise it's a solved game. So there always has to be something that kind of, you know, catches you off guard. So it depends what they do, because they've been like lowering DBR and stuff on the enemies, which I don't necessarily agree with, but they're changing that as well. Let's see. We have several key changes planned for September to help facilitate these goals. Introducing Monster Deathstore version 2. I really never expected this to get overhauled between, you know, the start and early access, but here we are. In order to remove some of the RNG associated with its current implementation, instead of a percentage Deathblow resist like the player has, monsters with Deathstore resist will now have a finite number of Deathstore tokens. This will be specified per monster with a minimum of 1 token for any monster that has Deathstore protection. We hope that this change will reduce the RNG elements present in battle and give players more information up front regarding how the battle will progress. Ultimately, I don't think this will really impact too much, because usually with Deathstore, it's pretty rare to get like the chain of, you know, something surviving 5 hits, something like that, you know, even though it's a 5% chance. You know, right now, Knight is really the biggest offender because he gets up to like 75, 80, 90 with old Stygian, stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this. Plus, all of the Deathblow piercing moves are going to have to change. So, Glint in the Dark, Double Tap, Wicked Slice, others, Finish Him that I'm forgetting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with those. Number 2. Get your expedition back on track by choosing party replacements at the end. This is fantastic. In a way, I didn't mind the randomness because it really taught you how to adapt. So it was a good teaching tool for players, but I also understand it might have just been really frustrating. Plus, sometimes your like super memoried hero rolls in and then the expedition's already doomed. You don't want to lose them. Stuff like that. So being able to choose is fine, especially because dying in this game is already super punishing. Like it is very hard to lose one character mid-region and then make it to the inn to get someone else. Most of the time, the run's already over. And it's really hard to address that without, you know, doing something crazy. So, this is the next best thing. It's still a positive. not trying to sound like I'm not happy for it, but it's also, it kind of highlights a bigger issue. Currently, when a hero dies, if the party is able to reach the inn, a random hero will be selected. This update will allow players to pick their own, which is really cool. This does give you a better chance of going forward, so I ultimately do like this. I do like anything that gives the player an incentive to push on and try to win. So that's good. Number 3, adapt to changing circumstances. Players will soon be able to pay a flat amount of currency. We don't know if this is baubles or relics to switch their current hero's path at the inn. Changing paths will refund all mastery points spent on the character, allowing you to respec the hero. The goal of this change is to allow players to better strategize for the region ahead and create more dynamic party state across the entire expedition. On paper, I actually don't like this, but a lot of people do. So a lot of people were in my chat while I was streaming saying they enjoy this. So this is one of those things, if I'm like the only person that doesn't like it, I'm not going to stand in the way. Since I, do private testing, if the feedback on it from everyone else is good, I'm not going to say, hey, this needs to, be cut from the game. Instead, I'll do my best to, get my criticisms, maybe to, balance it out, though it might not be too good. Because if it's 4 relics, this is what British Brat said in my stream, if it's 4 relics to swap, then it's way too cheap. I don't think it's going to be 4. This is... The upsides to this are you can run certain paths for certain regions to have a better chance. So if you have, Flagellant, that's Exanimate, Blight's not as good in the Fetter, so you can swap them to Maniac to deal with tokens, because there are some, negative tokens that come out of the Fetter, especially like the boss fight. So being able to mitigate that would be really good. Another that's really going to be interesting to see is, I think someone said this. Let me bring. Yeah. Meow or Meow. So, when I was streaming, they said this, and they said that the first thing they thought of was you get to the mountain, so the end of the game, and then you have Leper, and you swap to Monarch because that gets all the buffs against cosmic enemies. That's going to be the best representation of it, which is swapping into something that is such a strong matchup against what you're going up against, and it's really going to help you succeed. So even though I said I don't like this in concept, I mean, there still are a lot of positives. There's a lot of play that you can do, a lot of strategizing. It will reward people that understand the game. So if you know what the region is, you know what the paths do, you have the paths unlocked, then you can swap. So it really does reward player knowledge, and I really like that. And it's closer to how DD1 felt, where, the missions were 10 to 30 minutes, depending on what happens. And, you bring in a team, you're playing for 10, 30 minutes, they leave, bring in another team, and it's different, and you go to somewhere else. And this kind of recaptures that, because you go to the inn, you can swap all your paths, or, a couple paths that you really need, and then you just change the party dynamic. So it kind of gives you that fresh, this is a new party feeling, instead of I'm running the same characters for 4 hours and I have to skip the sprawl or something like that. So I ultimately I think it's going to be good. I'm afraid it's going to be too good, if that makes sense. Factions are back in road fights, so this is stuff like the regional enemies, like Fisher Folk and Corpse Eaters and stuff like that. They're going to be in road battles. I really hope they mix into generic matches, but I doubt they're going to. And, this way you get to see more of the region enemies, so you're not always fighting the neutral stuff, that's a good change. More changes will be coming to the Act 3 boss. This is huge. Our team has been reading your feedback on this confession boss since our last update in June, and are aiming to address community concerns, specifically around limerence and how heroes can interact with scene tokens. Limerence, it's got plenty of issues. It does a lot of damage. It kind of happens too fast. And in terms of the scene tokens, if you know the fight, the wrong person can get one on turn 1. They could just outspeed your team, hit your Plague Doctor, who has no defense, and then she just gets nuked the entire time. And it would be nice to be able to do something about that. So, taking a look at it, And I always feel bad complaining about the Act 3 boss, because I know the person that works on it, and they're a great person. So it's something that they've been trying to get right for a while, and I'm glad they're not giving up on it. Because every time they have gotten closer, it's just there's always a few things around the edges that need tweaking. Like currently, as they're saying, the limerence damage, scene tokens, suppress, and just kind of like the speed of the fight, all that could use some tweaking, and then it might be good. Conceptually, the fight's in a good place in how phase 1 and 2 go. So if you want to give feedback on this, then join their Discord. These are just the first in a series of improvements we have planned for the game over the next few months. As always, we're incredibly appreciative of all your feedback. We're always reading your comments and looking for ways to improve your experience. Thank you for joining us on this journey. There's so much more to come. Really nice, concise update right there. So, that's it. I read you an essay. Let me know what you're thinking down below in the comments, and what you'd like to see, what your ideas are, questions, concerns, stuff like that. Join their Discord if you want to be a part of it. And yeah, looking forward to it. Sometime next month. It's already been pretty crazy in terms of like how fast stuff is coming. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next time.